Hi, welcome back to Multicultural Children's Literature. I'm mostly going to be talking about Middle Eastern American children's literature. And there's lots of definitions out there and lots of ways to kind of categorize this culture. I'm just going to give you some information that I've gotten from academic literature and some blogs to try to make it more first person. So here's what is considered the Middle East. Again, there's some different opinions on that. So I'm hoping that this is accurate and appropriate. Arabs are people who speak Arabic as their native language. Not all Arabs are Muslims. Arab Christians and Jews have always been an important part of the Arab world. 20% of the world's population who practice Islam live in Arab countries. 17 independent countries make up the Arab world. There's a list of them, according to fairly current research. Again, these things change. This doesn't change, though. Many Arab American students do not have classroom experiences that expose them to a story that reaffirms their cultural identity as Arabs or that validates the importance of their cultural heritage to students from other cultures. Big surprise, right? Don't have the mirrors and windows that we kind of keep talking about and bringing back to all of the cultures. A typical stereotype, again, perpetuated by my favorite company, Disney, who have done some great stuff, but really it's easy to drag them into all the stereotypes in so many of my lectures. Um, the harmful influences of stereotypes depend not only on the repetition of the distorted imagery, but also the omission of diverse imagery. What is absent in American popular culture are the important images of Arabs and Arab Americans who are business owners, family members, teachers, classmates, artists, engineers, neighbors, and people who've made lasting contributions to society. In other words, what we're supposed to get from cultures, not just the stereotypes, not just the bad guys, not just the single story, but the whole enchilada. And that because of how we depict Middle Eastern and Middle Eastern Americans in our media, including children's literature, we're really still getting not the big picture here, and we're still getting the stereotypes. It's gotten better. Books have gotten better, and I'll show you some examples. This is a popular stereotype, right? This was a really easy way to convey some of those negative messages that we're talking about. The Disney's Aladdin, 1992. And though it features Arabs as hero and heroine, there are some disturbing features. Light skinned lead characters have anglicized features and Anglo American accents, white, white, white. Then all the other characters in Aladdin are dark skinned and villainous with exaggerated Arabic accents and grotesque facial features. And if you've seen the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. So that we have our heroes as light skinned and dominant cultured, white dominant cultured Euro Americans as possible. And then we have all the other characters in the movie in really stereotypical fashion. Really bad, right? This is kind of some of the breakdown of the stereotypes found in the Aladdin movie, and one that is also emphasized. And we looked at this when we were looking at First Nation American Indians, Native Americans, that they objectify and eroticize, sexualize women, and that was happening a lot in this movie. And then all the rest of the portrayal of people as just dumb, barbaric, villainous, just all that stuff. Really, just really a demeaning way to represent a culture. So it says Aladdin is a white fantasy, and that's hardly surprising because the film is basically some white guy's foggy notion of the Orient. It's most likely a made up story added to a translation of A Thousand and One Nights by a French guy in the 18th century, directed by white guys. The 1992 movie was written by white guys, and its cast featured not even one Arab or South Asian voice actor. And so they're remaking a live version of Aladdin, and at the beginning, that was the deal too. They weren't like getting enough Middle Easterners or Asian actors to even try out for the film. But I guess after some public outcry, that they changed their tune on that. So hopefully, when we see that movie, it's going to be reflecting a Middle Eastern culture with authentic insider perspective, meaning actors of the culture, right? And hopefully, writers and directors of the culture as well. So I agree with New York Times, who wrote this way back in 1993 to characterize an entire region with this sort of tongue-in-cheek bigotry, especially in a movie aimed at children, borders on barbaric. So, is Aladdin, even as cute and catchy the tunes? They even actually changed the opening song because it was so racist. Is it something that children should watch? Nah, no, because it perpetuates stereotypes. And we already talked about it doesn't take long for kids like age 5 to kind of get hardwired about being racist, about being sexist. And this movie will definitely help them go in that direction. Um, Again, we're kind of looking at things that have happened in other cultures, that a lot of times what the information we receive about a culture has to do from way back in the day, right? And so folk tales and fairy tales and myths all are really an important part of culture, right? But if that's all we get, then we're not giving students enough variety of literature and information to truly understand, well, in this case, the Arab culture. We're giving them things that are good, the Arabian Nights, big stuff, but that's again looking at the single story, right? It's a lot of what we get. We kids of the culture don't get current topical things that help them connect, and kids outside of the culture don't get an idea of what's happening in like the Middle Eastern culture, so they can't connect either. And that's part of the problem, is that I kind of keep coming back to this. The single story creates stereotypes, and the problem with stereotypes is that they are not that they are untrue, but they are incomplete. So we really need to like get other storylines going for Middle Eastern culture, especially to our children. And it's picking up, it's getting better. So when using high quality Arab children's literature, we know the results. It's true for all non-dominant cultures, right? Arab American children have an opportunity to explore, share, and express pride in their culture and the literature of their people. It's pretty, it's like it's not rocket science. It's just not. So there's a couple books that I wanted to share with you via this lecture, but I've crashed it 3 times now, and I'm like, I'm done. So I'm going to put these. I'll stick these on canvas so that you can look at them. This is a great book about a kid in current culture, a Middle Eastern kid in Baghdad, and talking about important things. Part of the horrors of war that are ongoing in his culture, and then also talking about some heroes from the past and how he's relevant as a kid right now. Really good things. This is a fabulous book as well, talking about a girl that has moved into the United States with her family and the problems with trying to keep her culture and then also acclimate into the culture of the United States. And like she kind of gets gypped in terms of birthday parties. So really fun. And that one is read by really cute girl who does a fabulous job. So definitely look at that one if you can, if you have a chance to do that. Um, so, what is missing in the images that Americans receive from and about the Middle East is a realistic and humanistic portrayal of a people and their culture as told from an insider's perspective, right? First people, indigenous perspective. That's what we want. That will help diminish stereotypes. That will keep it more authentic, and that's what we need to show and share with all of our children of Middle Eastern descent and children that are not, so that again we share and show what our society is comprised of. Some really cool cultures, right? Ethnic stereotypes are especially harmful in the absence of positive ethnic images. So I think this is an important one to remember: is that if it'll say, okay, well, there's only stereotypical books, Middle Eastern like children's books, like just don't like let's get rid of them. But the absence of not having good images, good positive stories is really crappy too. So it's the remedy isn't just to pretend that there isn't racist stuff out there. The remedy is to recognize there is racist stuff out there and to help disrupt it, and by adding and countering it with good reflections of the culture, and in this case, the Middle Eastern culture. And to paraphrase Plato, those who tell the stories rule society. And again, here's another video that I'm not gonna do it because it's just gonna crash. But it's kind of interesting how this guy cataloged mostly movies and some children's books, but just really uh, reflected by his research how lacking we are in showing positive images of the Middle Eastern culture and how important that is, especially after 9/11 and that what happened after 9/11 and how we just had this a whole Muslim bashing um, society, and again how that's continued since 9/11 and it has really been exacerbated and revisited with the election of you know who. Do I have to say his name? Donald Trump as president and what he's done in terms of closing off borders and excluding um, people going back and forth from the Middle East. And it's just horrific that the rise in hate crimes specific to Muslims. It just goes on and on and on, right? So it's interesting how that continues. And again, I'm going to say it: children's literature is going to save the world if we share the positive aspects and the negative aspects, but showcase the positive and relevant aspects of all cultures, and certainly Middle Eastern culture, given the political climate of today. Today, don't want to go into it, right? So, gonna tell you over and over again, how can we help counter sexist and racist messages? You already know, and we change that message, right, by adding really rich and wonderful and interesting and not just a single stories out there to do it. And there's some good stuff. There's some good Middle Eastern Middle Eastern American literature. Really take a peek at the two that I showed you as an example, but there's other things that are coming up as well. This is a fascinating story. Ah, yeah, and we've heard a lot about her, but there's just really great books for preschoolers and kindergartners, and she has her biography too. But good stuff, important, important stuff. That's a really fun book. So the video hookup I have for this lecture is really interesting. It's a TED Talk, one of my favorite ways to get stuff, and in that there will be a couple things on the final exam. So you be sure to watch this. It will be linked up in your on Canvas, and I think this is a really the Middle Eastern children's literature. It's just kind of really burgeoning and getting exciting now, and it's just important stuff. There's just a lot of complicated issues and ethnicities within this culture, and we really just need to slam our kids with fabulous, wonderful representation of this culture. It's an exciting moment in terms of children's literature for Middle Eastern culture. So I of course get excited. But okay, I'm done. Sorry I couldn't get the books in here and folded into the three videos I wanted to fold in. But I just been doing this now for like almost 2 hours, and I'm just ready to throw my computer and my software program, recording program, out the window. So I'm going to stop now and catch you later. And let's see, I'm still on Bainbridge Island. It's June 16th and the sun is out. So I'm going to go hit a few trails with my trusty dog Jupiter, and I'll be talking to you soon. Take care. Thanks for being in this class. I really appreciate your involvement in it, and thanks. Talk to you soon.